The cargo freighter, Meridian's Hope, drifted silently through the Kepler Nebula, its hull scarred from countless journeys across the galaxy's trade routes. Inside the cramped crew quarters, Marcus Chen finished his third cup of synthetic coffee and reviewed the manifest one more time. 47 souls aboard, heading to the mining colony on Xerion Prime with supplies that would keep the settlement running for another 6 months. Marcus had been flying freight runs for 12 years, ever since the Galactic Trade Federation opened human-operated vessels to the broader interstellar commerce network. Humans were still the new kids in this cosmic neighborhood, having only achieved faster-than-light travel 30 years ago. Most alien species had been traversing the stars for millennia, and they treated humans like enthusiastic but naive children playing with dangerous toys. The bridge was quiet, except for the low hum of life support systems. Captain Elena Vasquez sat in the command chair, her weathered face illuminated by the soft glow of navigation displays. She'd taken a chance on Marcus when most alien shipping companies wouldn't hire humans, claiming they were too unpredictable and emotionally unstable for deep space work. "Marcus, run another diagnostic on the hyperdrive motivator," Elena called out. "I'm reading some fluctuations that don't look right." Marcus nodded and moved to the engineering console. The Meridian's Hope was an older vessel, built by the Zenthari shipyards before humans even knew aliens existed. Its systems were reliable, but required constant attention. As he worked through the diagnostic routines, Marcus caught sight of movement on the long-range sensors. "Captain, I'm picking up 3 vessels on an intercept course," he reported, his fingers dancing across the sensor controls. "Configuration unknown, but they're not broadcasting any identification codes." Elena's expression hardened. Piracy was common in the outer sectors, where galactic patrol ships rarely ventured. Most freight runs hired escort vessels or traveled in convoys, but independent operators like Elena couldn't afford such luxuries. They relied on speed, stealth, and luck to avoid trouble. "Can you get a better reading on their ship class?" Elena asked, moving to the tactical station. Marcus enhanced the sensor sweep, filtering out nebula interference. What he saw made his blood run cold. The approaching vessels were sleek, predatory shapes that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. He'd seen similar designs in classified Federation intelligence briefings. "Captain, those are Vorthan hunter-killers," Marcus said quietly. "Military grade, heavily armed." The Vorthans were one of the galaxy's most feared warrior species. Standing nearly 3 meters tall with chitinous exoskeletons and razor-sharp claws, they had conquered dozens of star systems through overwhelming force and ruthless tactics. Officially, they maintained diplomatic relations with the Galactic Federation, but everyone knew they operated outside the law when it suited their purposes. "Why would Vorthans be interested in a cargo freighter?" Elena muttered, but Marcus could see the fear in her eyes. The answer came minutes later when the lead Vorthan vessel opened a communication channel. The massive alien that appeared on their view screen was even more intimidating than Marcus had expected. Scars covered the creature's face, and its mandibles clicked ominously as it spoke. "Human vessel, you will surrender immediately and prepare to be boarded. Resistance will result in the destruction of your ship and the execution of your crew." Elena straightened in her command chair, drawing on decades of merchant marine experience. "This is Captain Vasquez of the independent freighter Meridian's Hope. We are operating under valid Federation transit permits and carrying legitimate cargo. You have no authority to detain us." The Vorthan's laugh was a harsh, grating sound that made the bridge speakers crackle. "Authority is what we make it. Human, your species has grown too comfortable in Federation space. It is time you learned your proper place in the galactic order." Marcus watched the tactical display as the 3 Vorthan ships moved into attack formation. Each one was twice the size of the Meridian's Hope and bristled with energy weapons that could reduce their freighter to atoms in seconds. But something else caught his attention on the sensor readouts. "Captain, the Vorthons aren't trying to disable us," he said, analyzing their approach vectors. "They're positioning for a complete kill shot." Elena's face went pale. "But they said they wanted to board us." "They lied," Marcus replied grimly. "This isn't piracy. It's sport hunting." The Vorthons had a reputation for treating other species as prey, but they usually targeted military vessels or isolated colonies. Attacking a civilian freighter was bold even by their standards. Marcus suspected this was some kind of initiation ritual or training exercise for young Vorthon warriors. "All hands, this is the captain," Elena announced over the ship's intercom. "Prepare for emergency evacuation. All crew to escape pod stations immediately." Marcus remained at his station, working frantically to find some advantage in their desperate situation. The Meridian's hope was no match for even one Vorthon hunter-killer, let alone 3. Their only hope was to reach the hyperspace jump point before the aliens closed range, but the numbers weren't adding up. "Captain, at current speed, we'll be in their weapon range in 8 minutes, Marcus reported. "Jump calculations won't be complete for at least 12. Elena nodded grimly and activated the emergency beacon. "Mayday, Mayday. This is the merchant vessel Meridian's Hope under attack by Vorthon forces in grid section 7-7 Alpha, requesting immediate assistance from any Federation vessels in range." The response came from an unexpected source. A calm, measured voice emerged from their communications array. "This is Federation patrol vessel. Determination. We have received your distress call and are moving to assist. Estimated time to intercept, 14 minutes. Marcus felt a surge of hope, but it was short-lived. Even if the patrol ship was real and not some Vorthon deception, it would arrive too late to save them. The hunt was about to begin, and 47 human lives hung in the balance. The lead Vorthon vessel fired a warning shot that passed mere meters from their bow, close enough to overwhelm their shields with electromagnetic pulse effects. Systems throughout the ship flickered and sparked as the energy wave washed over them. "They're playing with us," Elena said through gritted teeth, "trying to disable our defenses before they move in for the kill." Marcus studied the tactical display, searching for any possible escape route. The nebula around them was dense with ionized gas and electromagnetic interference that made sensor readings unreliable. Perhaps they could use that to their advantage somehow. "Captain, what if we dump our primary cargo containers?" Marcus suggested. "It might create enough confusion to mask our escape vector." Elena considered the proposal. The cargo containers contained valuable medical supplies and industrial equipment worth millions of credits. Insurance would cover the loss, but only if they survived to file the claim. "Do it," she ordered. "Jettison containers 1 through 12. Use the magnetic grapples to scatter them across a wide field." Marcus initiated the cargo release sequence, watching as dozens of massive containers tumbled away from their ship into the nebula. The Vorthon vessels immediately altered course to investigate, their sensors trying to determine if this was a desperate escape attempt or simply preparation for surrender. But Marcus had one more card to play. As the containers drifted away, he activated their emergency transponders, creating dozens of false sensor contacts throughout the surrounding space. To the Vorthons, it would look like an entire convoy of ships had just appeared out of nowhere. "Clever human," the lead Vorthon commander acknowledged over the open channel. "But such tricks only delay the inevitable. We will hunt down every one of your escape pods and make trophies from your bones." The threat sent chills down Marcus's spine, but it also revealed something important about their attackers. The Vorthons were confident to the point of arrogance, assuming that victory was already assured. They weren't taking proper tactical precautions or considering the possibility that their prey might actually fight back. That overconfidence would be their downfall, though Marcus didn't know it yet. Hidden in the nebula's electromagnetic storms, Another ship watched the developing situation with keen interest. The vessel bore no identification markings and appeared on no official Federation registry, but its lone occupant had been monitoring Vorthon activities in this sector for months. Commander Sarah Chen had dedicated her life to protecting human interests across the galaxy, often operating outside official channels when bureaucracy and politics prevented proper action. She was Marcus's older sister, though neither of them knew the other was in this remote corner of space. Sarah's ship, the modified assault corvette Vengeance, was equipped with experimental stealth technology that made it virtually invisible to conventional sensors. She had been tracking this particular Vorthon pack for weeks, gathering intelligence on their hunting patterns and tactical capabilities. Now, watching her brother's ship come under attack, Sarah felt the cold fury that had made her legendary among Federation special forces. The Vorthons thought they were hunting helpless prey, but they were about to discover that humans could be predators too. As the first Vorthon vessel moved in for the kill, Sarah activated her weapon systems and prepared to even the odds. The hunt was indeed beginning, but not in the way the Vorthons expected. Sarah Chen watched through her targeting scope as the lead Vorthon hunter-killer closed in on the Meridian's Hope. Her modified corvette remained hidden in the nebula's interference patterns, its experimental stealth systems making it invisible to the aliens' sensors. She had positioned herself perfectly for a surprise attack, but timing would be everything. The Vorthons moved with predatory grace, their ships spreading into a classic hunting formation that would prevent any escape. Sarah recognized the pattern from her intelligence files. These weren't random pirates, but members of the Crimson Talon Pack, an elite warrior clan known for their brutal efficiency. Through her ship's enhanced sensors, Sarah could see the electromagnetic signatures of charging weapons aboard the Vorthon vessels. They were preparing for the killing blow, savoring these final moments before the slaughter began. The arrogance typical of their species was on full display. "Unknown Federation patrol vessel. Identify yourself immediately." The lead Vorthon commander's voice crackled over intercepted communications. "You are interfering with a legitimate salvage operation." Sarah smiled grimly. The Vorthons had detected the phantom patrol ship Marcus had fabricated using the cargo container's transponders. It was a clever trick that bought precious time, but it wouldn't fool the aliens for long. She needed to act before they realized the deception. Aboard the Meridian's Hope, Marcus worked frantically to extend their sensor ghost for a few more minutes. He had scattered the cargo containers in a pattern that mimicked a patrol formation, using their transponders to create false readings on Vorthon sensors. But the aliens were already beginning to see through the ruse. "Captain, they're scanning individual containers now," Marcus reported. "They'll figure out it's a fake fleet within 2 minutes." Elena nodded tersely. "All crew to escape pods. We'll try to scatter when they realize what we've done. Maybe some of us will make it to the asteroid field." Marcus shook his head. "The Vorthons won't let anyone escape. This is a hunt, not a robbery. They want the challenge of tracking down survivors." As if to confirm his words, the second Vorthon vessel peeled away from the formation and began systematically destroying the scattered cargo containers with precise energy blasts. Each explosion sent brilliant flashes through the nebula, illuminating the alien ship's predatory silhouettes. That was the moment Sarah chose to strike. The Vengeance emerged from the electromagnetic storm like a phantom materialized from shadow. Its stealth systems dropped as every weapon system came online simultaneously. Sarah had spent years modifying her ship for this kind of engagement, replacing cargo space with additional armor and military-grade weapons that officially didn't exist. Her first target was the Vorthon vessel destroying the cargo containers. A concentrated pulse laser barrage struck its rear shields, overwhelming the defensive systems in seconds. The alien ship's hull buckled under the assault, atmosphere venting through multiple breaches as it lost power and began to drift. "What?" The lead Vorthan commander roared over the communication channels. "Where did that ship come from?" Sarah opened a channel to the Vorthan flagship, her voice cold as space itself. "This is Commander Chen of the Federation Special Operations Division. You have attacked a civilian vessel under my protection. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." The massive Vorthan warrior on the view screen bared his razor-sharp teeth in what passed for a smile among his species. "A single human in a converted cargo hauler? You amuse me, little predator. I am War Leader Krex of the Crimson Talon. Your Federation rank means nothing here." "Then you'll learn the difference between a warrior and a soldier," Sarah replied, cutting the channel. The remaining two Vorthan ships immediately changed tactics, abandoning their hunt for the Meridian's Hope to focus on this new threat. Sarah had expected this response. Vorthans could never resist a direct challenge, especially from what they perceived as inferior prey. The second hunter-killer came about in a sweeping turn, its massive bulk moving with surprising grace. Banks of energy weapons swiveled to track Sarah's ship as it accelerated toward them at maximum burn. To the Vorthans, it must have looked like a suicidal attack run. They were half right. Sarah's ship possessed something the Vorthans didn't expect: human ingenuity married to alien technology. During her years of covert operations, she had acquired Zenthari shield generators, Catherian weapon systems, and even some experimental Federation prototypes that officially didn't exist. The Vorthan energy barrage struck her forward shields at point-blank range. The defensive systems held for exactly 3 seconds before failing catastrophically. But 3 seconds was all Sarah needed to execute her real plan. As her shields collapsed, Sarah triggered an electromagnetic pulse grenade that had been concealed in her ship's outer hull. The device detonated mere meters from the Vorthan vessel's primary sensors, creating a localized storm of interference that blinded their targeting systems. In that moment of confusion, Sarah's ship twisted through a high-G maneuver that would have killed most organic pilots. Her enhanced physiology, the result of classified military augmentations, allowed her to remain conscious while pulling nearly 15 gravities. The Vengeance slipped beneath the Vorthan ship's firing arc and unleashed everything it had. Concentrated plasma beams, originally designed for mining asteroids, carved through the alien vessel's armor like a hot knife through butter. Secondary explosions rippled along its hull as weapon magazines detonated. The mighty hunter-killer, pride of the Vorthan fleet, became a drifting hulk in less than 30 seconds. War Leader Krex watched his second ship die and felt something he hadn't experienced in decades: uncertainty. This human fought unlike any opponent he had ever faced. Where Vorthans relied on strength and direct assault, this creature used deception, technology, and tactics that bordered on the supernatural. "Impossible," Krex muttered, studying the tactical display. "How does a single human ship destroy 2 of our hunters?" His tactical officer, a scarred veteran named Throck, pointed at the sensor readings with obvious confusion. "War Leader, this vessel is not what it appears. Our scans show weapon systems from at least 4 different species, shield technology we don't recognize, and armor configurations that make no sense." Krex's mandibles clicked in irritation. The human had somehow acquired technology from across the galaxy and integrated it into a single, devastatingly effective platform. It was the kind of resourcefulness his species respected, even in an enemy. "Signal the human ship," Krex ordered. "I would speak with this commander who fights like a true predator." Sarah accepted the communication request, her face appearing on Krex's view screen with calm professionalism. The Vorthan war leader studied her features carefully, noting the surgical scars that suggested military augmentation and the cold intelligence in her eyes. "You fight with honor, human," Krex acknowledged. "I have not seen such tactical skill in many cycles. Who are you?" "Someone who doesn't appreciate bullies picking on civilians," Sarah replied evenly. "Your pack chose the wrong prey today." Krex laughed. a sound like grinding metal. You speak of prey and predator as if you understand the way of the hunt. But you are still only one ship against my flagship. Do you truly believe you can defeat the Blood Reaper? Sarah glanced at her tactical display. The Vorthan flagship was indeed a formidable opponent, nearly twice the size of the vessels she had already destroyed and bristling with enough weapons to level a small city. In a straight fight, the Vengeance would be outgunned and outnumbered. "Let's find out," she said, cutting the channel again. Aboard the Meridian's Hope, Marcus stared at the tactical display in amazement. A single unknown ship had just destroyed 2 Vorthan hunter-killers in less than 5 minutes. The vessel's sensor signature was unlike anything in the Federation database, but its pilot fought with a precision and ruthlessness that reminded him of the old war stories his grandfather used to tell. "Marcus, are you seeing this?" Captain Elena asked, her voice filled with awe and disbelief. "Confirmed, Captain. Unknown vessel has destroyed 2 hostiles and is engaging the flagship." Marcus paused, studying the energy signatures from the mystery ship's weapons. "Captain, those plasma arrays, they're mining equipment. Someone converted an industrial ship into a warship." The implications were staggering. Whoever was piloting that ship had taken civilian mining tools and turned them into instruments of war. It was the kind of improvised engineering that humans were becoming famous for throughout the galaxy. As they watched, the unknown vessel began its attack run on the Vorthan flagship. War leader Krex had positioned his ship to take advantage of its superior firepower, forcing any attacker to approach through a deadly crossfire of energy weapons. Sarah knew this was her most dangerous moment. The Blood Reaper was a purpose-built warship with armor and shields designed to withstand coordinated attacks from multiple Federation vessels. Her converted corvette would be destroyed in seconds if she tried to match firepower with the massive alien dreadnought. So she didn't try to match it. Instead, she did something no Vorthan tactician would ever consider. She attacked the nebula itself. The Kepler Nebula contained vast amounts of ionized hydrogen and exotic particles held in delicate equilibrium by electromagnetic fields. Sarah's ship carried specialized equipment designed for deep space salvage operations, including high-powered gravimetric projectors originally intended for moving asteroids. She fired those projectors into the densest concentration of nebula gases, creating a cascading gravitational disturbance that spread throughout the surrounding space. The carefully balanced electromagnetic fields began to collapse, causing massive energy discharges that turned the entire region into a maelstrom of destructive forces. War leader Krex watched in horror as space itself seemed to turn against his ship. Lightning storms erupted from nowhere, electromagnetic pulses overloaded his sensor arrays, and gravitational eddies twisted his vessel's hull with forces beyond comprehension. The human hadn't just outfought him. She had weaponized the very environment they were fighting in, turning the nebula into a weapon of mass destruction. It was a level of tactical thinking that defied everything Vorthans understood about warfare. As the Blood Reaper struggled against the artificial storm, Sarah's ship moved through the chaos like it was designed for these conditions. Her modified sensors cut through the interference, her reinforced hull absorbed the energy discharges, and her pilot's enhanced reflexes kept them clear of the most dangerous gravitational anomalies. The hunt had become something else entirely. The predator had become the prey, and the prey had revealed itself to be something far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. The Blood Reaper shuddered under the assault of cascading energy storms as war leader Krex fought to maintain control of his flagship. Emergency lights bathed the bridge in crimson as systems failed throughout the massive vessel. The human had done something impossible, turning the nebula itself into a weapon that defied every tactical doctrine in the Vorthan military database. "Damage report!" Krex roared at his crew, his massive claws gripping the command throne. Hull breaches on decks 7 through 12, his tactical officer Throck reported. Shield generators are offline, main engines at 60% power, and half our weapon arrays are non-functional. Krex's mandibles clicked furiously. In 3 decades of warfare, he had never encountered an opponent who fought like this human. The creature used tools as weapons, environment as ally, and displayed a level of strategic thinking that bordered on prescience. Through the chaos of electromagnetic storms, Sarah's ship moved like a predator stalking wounded prey. The Vengeance had been designed for exactly this kind of environment, with reinforced hull plating that could withstand massive energy discharges and sensor arrays that functioned in even the worst interference. Sarah studied her tactical display with cold satisfaction. The Vorthon flagship was crippled but still dangerous. Its heavy armor and redundant systems meant it could absorb tremendous punishment before going down. She needed to finish this quickly before Krex found a way to adapt to her tactics. Aboard the Meridian's Hope, Marcus watched the impossible battle with growing amazement. The unknown ship moved through the artificial storm like it was built for these conditions, while the massive Vorthon dreadnought floundered helplessly. "Captain, I'm reading massive power fluctuations from the Vorthon flagship," Marcus reported. "Their containment fields are failing." Elena studied the sensor readings with growing concern. "Marcus, if that ship's reactor goes critical in this environment..." "The explosion would destabilize the entire nebula," Marcus finished grimly. "The energy cascade could destroy everything within 100,000 kilometers." The implications were terrifying. Sarah's tactics had created a situation where the Vorthon ship's destruction might kill everyone in the area, including the civilians she was trying to protect. It was a perfect example of the double-edged nature of human ingenuity. Sarah reached the same conclusion milliseconds later. Her enhanced tactical software was already calculating blast patterns and energy propagation models. If the Vorthon reactor exploded in its current state, the resulting chain reaction would turn the nebula into a miniature supernova. She opened a communication channel to the Blood Reaper, her voice cutting through the interference. "War Leader Krex, shut down your reactor immediately. Your containment fields are failing." Krex's response was a snarl of rage and defiance. "I will not surrender to prey. The Crimson Talon fights until death." "You don't understand," Sarah replied urgently. "Your reactor breach will kill everyone in this sector, including your own crew. This isn't about surrender anymore." But Krex was beyond reason. Vorthon warrior culture placed honor above survival, and accepting help from an enemy was the ultimate humiliation. He would rather die than admit defeat to a creature his species considered inferior. Sarah cursed under her breath and changed tactics. If she couldn't convince the Vorthon to shut down his reactor, she would have to do it for him. The Vengeance accelerated toward the crippled flagship, its modified mining equipment already reconfiguring for a different kind of operation. "Throck, prepare the final assault," Krex commanded his tactical officer. "We may die, but we will take this human demon with us." The Vorthon crew worked with desperate efficiency, rerouting power from failing systems to charge their remaining weapons. They had enough energy for one massive barrage that might destroy the human ship, even if it meant venting their reactor core into space. Sarah saw the power build up on her sensors and knew she had seconds to act. The Vorthon ship was preparing a kamikaze attack that would accomplish exactly what she was trying to prevent. She triggered every system modification she had installed over years of covert operations. The Vengeance split apart. What the Vorthons had assumed was a single ship revealed itself to be a modular design inspired by human space construction techniques. The main hull separated into 3 independent sections, each carrying its own power source and specialized equipment. The lead section, containing Sarah's command center and most advanced weapons, continued toward the Blood Reaper on a collision course. The second section deployed massive magnetic grapples and began establishing a containment field around the Vorthon reactor. The third section moved to evacuate the freighter crew before the situation deteriorated further. Krex watched this transformation with something approaching religious awe. The human ship had literally remade itself in the middle of combat, adapting to new circumstances in ways that defied every principle of starship design he knew. "What manner of creature are you?" he whispered. Sarah's voice came from everywhere at once as her command section interfaced directly with the Vorthon ship's communication systems. "I'm someone who learned that survival requires constant adaptation. Your people hunt for sport. Mine hunt for necessity." The magnetic grapples from Sarah's second section clamped onto the Blood Reaper's hull with tremendous force. Containment fields activated around the failing reactor core, creating a localized space-time distortion that would prevent a catastrophic explosion. The technology was experimental, borrowed from Federation research into temporal mechanics, and had never been tested under combat conditions. It worked perfectly. The Vorthon reactor stabilized as external containment fields took over from the ship's failing systems. Energy levels dropped to safe parameters, and the immediate threat of a sector-killing explosion disappeared. Krex found his ship disabled but intact, his crew alive but defeated. Meanwhile, Sarah's third section had reached the Meridian's Hope and was coordinating with Captain Elena to transfer the civilian crew to safety. Marcus supervised the evacuation with professional efficiency, though he couldn't help wondering about the mysterious pilot who had saved their lives. "Unknown vessel, this is Marcus Chen from the Meridian's Hope," he transmitted on a private channel. "I want to thank you for what you've done here." Sarah nearly choked on her coffee when she heard her brother's voice. She had been so focused on the tactical situation that she hadn't bothered to check the freighter's crew roster. Of all the ships in the galaxy, she had accidentally rescued the one carrying her own family. "Just doing my job, citizen," she replied, keeping her voice carefully neutral. "Make sure your people are ready for emergency transfer if this situation changes." Marcus frowned at the formal response. Something about the pilot's voice seemed familiar, but he couldn't place it. The communication quality was too poor for voice recognition software to work properly. With the immediate crisis resolved, Sarah found herself facing a new problem. War leader Krex and his crew were now her prisoners. But she had no legal authority to detain them. The Vorthons were technically citizens of a Federation ally, despite their obviously illegal activities. "Krex!" she called over the communication channel. "Your ship is disabled, and your crew is at my mercy. Will you accept terms for your surrender?" The massive Vorthan war leader appeared on her view screen, his expression a mixture of rage and grudging respect. "You have bested the Crimson Talon in fair combat, human. By the ancient laws of the hunt, my pack is yours to command." Sarah blinked in surprise. She had expected continued resistance, not a formal surrender based on Vorthon warrior traditions. "What exactly does that mean?" "It means my warriors and I are oath-bound to serve you until our debt of honor is repaid," Krex explained. "You have shown us that humans are not prey but fellow predators worthy of respect. The Crimson Talon will hunt at your side." The offer was tempting but problematic. Sarah operated outside official channels, and having a pack of Vorthon warriors as allies would complicate her covert missions. On the other hand, the intelligence value of having inside contacts in Vorthon society could be immense. "I'll consider your offer," Sarah replied diplomatically. "For now, repair your ship and withdraw from this sector. I'll contact you when I've decided what to do with your oath." Krex nodded slowly. "It will be as you command, Hunt Leader Chen." As the various ship sections of the Vengeance began to reassemble themselves, Sarah reflected on what had just happened. She had set out to rescue a civilian freighter and ended up with a pack of alien warriors sworn to her service. It was exactly the kind of unexpected complication that made her job so interesting. Marcus watched from the Meridian's Hope as the mysterious ship reconstructed itself with mechanical precision. Whoever was piloting that vessel had access to technology and resources far beyond anything in the civilian sector. The pilot's voice had seemed familiar, but he couldn't shake the feeling that he was missing something important. "Captain, the unknown vessel is requesting permission to escort us to our destination," Marcus reported to Elena. Elena studied the tactical display where 3 Vorthon vessels now waited in formation around the strange modular ship. "I think that would be wise, Marcus. Something tells me we haven't seen the last of these aliens." She was right, though not in the way she expected. War leader Krex was already planning his next move, studying everything he could learn about this remarkable human who had defeated him so thoroughly. The Crimson Talon had found a new alpha predator, and the galaxy was about to discover what happened when human ingenuity was unleashed without restraint. In the depths of space, other Vorthon packs monitored the communication frequencies and watched the aftermath of the battle with growing interest. Word of Krex's defeat was already spreading through their warrior networks, along with detailed analysis of the humans' unconventional tactics. The hunt was over, but a larger game was just beginning. Sarah Chen had announced her presence to the galaxy's predators in the most dramatic way possible, and they would be coming to test themselves against her skills. She wouldn't have it any other way. 3 months after the incident in the Kepler Nebula, reports began filtering through intelligence networks across the galaxy. Ships that had been terrorizing trade routes for years suddenly went silent. Pirate bases that had operated with impunity for decades were found empty, their defenses intact, but their crews simply gone. Most disturbing of all, several Vorthon warrior packs had mysteriously disappeared from their traditional hunting grounds. The rumors started small, whispered conversations in spaceport bars and encrypted messages between merchant captains. They spoke of a ghost ship that appeared without warning, struck with surgical precision, and vanished before anyone could respond. Some claimed it was a new Federation Black project. Others insisted it was an alien species previously unknown to galactic civilization. Admiral Harrison of Federation Command studied the latest intelligence briefings with growing concern. Whatever was happening in the outer sectors was disrupting the delicate balance of power that kept trade routes functioning and territorial disputes manageable. "How many confirmed incidents?" he asked his intelligence officer. 17 in the past month alone," Commander Walsh replied. "But the pattern doesn't make sense. The targets seem random until you look at the bigger picture." Harrison leaned back in his chair. "Explain." "Every target has been involved in attacks on civilian vessels or colonies within the past year. It's like someone is working through a hit list of known pirates and raiders." The Admiral frowned. "Vigilante justice? That's our best theory. But, sir, the level of tactical sophistication suggests military training at the highest levels. This isn't some angry merchant with a grudge." Meanwhile, in a heavily shielded facility hidden within an asteroid field, Sarah Chen reviewed her next set of targets. The command center of her secret base looked more like a corporate office than a military installation, with holographic displays showing shipping routes, intelligence reports, and detailed dossiers on various criminal organizations. War leader Krex stood beside her, his massive frame still wearing the ritual scars of his defeat. The proud Vorthon warrior had adapted surprisingly well to his new role as Sarah's strategic advisor, though he still struggled with some human concepts like mercy and proportional response. "The Severed Claw Pack has been raiding the Altair shipping lanes for 6 standard months," Krex reported, his mandibles clicking in annoyance. "They have taken 12 vessels and enslaved over 300 civilians." Sarah nodded, studying the tactical analysis on her screens. "What about their base of operations?" "Hidden in the Veil Nebula, heavily defended. Traditional assault would require a fleet of at least 20 ships. Krex paused. However, I know their security protocols. The pack leader is arrogant. Believes his position is unassailable. Then we'll prove him wrong, Sarah replied calmly. Over the months, she had refined her tactics based on lessons learned from each encounter. The Vengeance had been upgraded with technology salvaged from defeated enemies, creating a ship that was part Federation starfighter, part alien predator, and part something entirely new. Her crew had grown as well. Besides Krex and his warriors, she had recruited specialists from across the galaxy. There was Zix, a former Zenthari naval engineer who had fled his homeworld after exposing government corruption. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a human xenobiologist who had joined after Sarah rescued her research station from slavers. And perhaps most importantly, Vex, a reformed information broker who provided intelligence on targets throughout the outer sectors. "Commander Chen," Vex called from his station. "I'm picking up distress signals from the Perseus trade route. Multiple ships under attack." Sarah moved to the tactical display. 6 merchant vessels were being hunted by what appeared to be a coordinated pack of raiders. The attack was happening in real time, and civilian lives hung in the balance. "Krex, how long to reach the Perseus route?" 4 hours at maximum burn, the Vorthan replied. "Too long to save the current victims." Sarah studied the display for a moment, then smiled grimly. "Not if we don't go around." She had been planning to test a new modification to her ship's drive systems, an experimental combination of Federation hyperdrive technology and Vorthan phase shifting that should allow near-instantaneous travel across short distances. The theory was sound, but the power requirements were enormous. "All hands, prepare for emergency jump," Sarah announced. "We're going to try something new." The Vengeance activated systems that shouldn't have been able to coexist on the same vessel. Hyperdrive motivators designed for careful navigation merged with Vorthan phase technology intended for combat maneuvers. The ship briefly existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously before snapping back into normal space directly in the middle of the raider attack. The effect on the attacking ships was immediate and devastating. Sarah's vessel appeared like an avenging angel, its weapon systems already charging as it materialized from nowhere. The raiders, who had been casually hunting helpless merchants, suddenly found themselves facing something that defied every tactical manual in known space. "Unknown vessel, identify yourself immediately," the lead raider demanded. Sarah opened a general communication channel that reached every ship in the area. "This is Commander Chen. Pirates, you have 10 seconds to surrender or be destroyed." The response was predictable. The raiders opened fire with everything they had, their combined barrage more than enough to overwhelm any normal starship. But the Vengeance was no longer normal by any definition. Sarah's ship phased through the incoming energy blasts, using Vorthan technology to shift briefly out of phase with normal matter. The weapons fire passed harmlessly through empty space where her ship had been microseconds before. She reappeared directly behind the lead raider and opened fire with mining lasers that had been modified far beyond their original specifications. The first pirate ship died in seconds, its hull carved apart by precision beams that targeted critical systems. The second vessel tried to flee, but found its escape route blocked by Krex's fighter, a sleek Vorthan design that moved with predatory grace. Within minutes, the entire raider pack was either destroyed or surrendering. Sarah's forces rounded up survivors with ruthless efficiency, though they followed strict protocols about prisoner treatment that still baffled some of her Vorthan allies. "Medical teams to the merchant vessels," Sarah ordered. "I want full damage reports and casualty assessments within the hour." As her people worked to assist the rescued merchants, Sarah reflected on how much her mission had evolved. What had started as a rescue operation for her brother's ship had become something much larger. She was building a network of contacts and allies that stretched across multiple star systems, all united by a common goal of protecting innocent civilians from predators. The merchant captains who had been saved were effusive in their gratitude, but Sarah noticed something else in their expressions. Fear mixed with the relief. She was becoming a legend in the outer sectors, but legends could be as terrifying as they were inspiring. "Commander," Dr. Tanaka called from her station, "I'm detecting multiple hyperspace signatures approaching our position." Sarah frowned. "How many ships?" 12 confirmed contacts. Configuration unknown, but they're big." Krex moved to the sensor console, his expression growing grim as he studied the readings. "Hunt leader, those are hegemony dreadnoughts. Full battle configuration." The Vorthan hegemony was the largest military power in this sector of the galaxy, officially allied with the Federation, but maintaining their own territorial claims and warrior traditions. The appearance of 12 dreadnoughts suggested that someone very important was taking an interest in Sarah's activities. "Open a channel," Sarah ordered. The communication screen activated to show an elderly Vorthan female wearing the elaborate armor of a fleet admiral. Her scarred features and ceremonial markings indicated decades of military service at the highest levels. "I am Admiral Krith of the Hegemony Third Fleet," the alien announced formally. "You will identify yourself and explain your unauthorized military activities in neutral space." Sarah straightened in her command chair. "I am Commander Chen, operating under Federation Special Operations Authority. My mission is to protect civilian shipping from pirate activity." Admiral Krith's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. "Your mission appears to have expanded far beyond simple anti-piracy operations. You have disrupted the balance of power in 3 star systems and gained the allegiance of several warrior packs." "Including mine," Krex added quietly, moving to stand beside Sarah's chair. The Admiral's expression shifted to surprise when she saw the former war leader. "Krex of the Crimson Talon? You were reported missing months ago." "I serve a new hunt leader now," Krex replied proudly. "One who has shown our people what it means to be true predators." Sarah sensed an opportunity in the exchange. "Admiral, perhaps we should discuss this situation in person. I believe our goals may be more aligned than you realize." Admiral Krith considered the proposal. "Very well. You will board my flagship with a small escort. Any hostile action will result in the destruction of your vessel." As Sarah prepared for what could be the most important negotiation of her career, she reflected on how far she had come from that desperate moment in the Kepler Nebula. She had started as one person trying to save her brother's ship. Now she commanded a fleet of allies and had gained the attention of major galactic powers. The hunt that had begun with Vorthan predators stalking human prey had evolved into something unprecedented. Sarah Chen had become the apex predator in a galaxy full of dangerous species, and everyone was beginning to realize that humans might be the most dangerous of all. But the real test was just beginning. Admiral Krith's arrival meant that Sarah's activities had attracted attention at the highest levels of galactic politics. The informal network of hunters and protectors she had built would now have to prove itself against the established order of things. As her shuttle approached the Hegemony flagship, Sarah couldn't help but smile. She had always performed best when the stakes were highest. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when you gave a human unlimited resources and a righteous cause. The lone hunter had become something far more dangerous, a human with a plan.